Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, August 3rd, 2019. This is episode 1614. Enjoy! The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Epson's EcoTank printers. Kiss expensive cartridges goodbye. Add an Epson EcoTank printer to your home or office. EcoTank comes with a ridiculous amount of ink. Just fill and chill. Check out epson.com/EcoTankLeo to learn more. And by Capterra. Find the right tools to make an informed software decision for your business. Visit Capterra's free website at capterra.com/techguy. And by DoorDash. DoorDash connects you to your favorite restaurants in your city. Get $5 off your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the promo code TechGuy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, yeah? Well, not just computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, augmented reality, anything with a chip in it. The phone number is 8888 Ask Leo. I'd love it if you'd call and we could talk, you and me. 888-827-5536. People often confide their problems in me. I'm the Dr. Laura of computing. Leo, my computer's giving me problems. I can help. 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach me. You just have to use Skype out and something like that. A little nervous. You know, this radio show is regulated by the Federal Communications Commission. That does not make me nervous. That's fine. That they're the ones that keep the 7 dirty words off the air and make sure that, you know, we do everything right and don't play emergency signals when there's no emergency, things like that. I don't know really what... When I started in radio 43 years ago, you had to take a test just to do a show. You had a radio operator third-class license to do a radio program. You had to go to the I went to the FCC office in New York City and took the test, passed it, thank goodness. 1976. That's changed. You don't have... Damien, our musical director does not need a musical director's license, do you? Or do you have a radio telephone third class?
No, sir.
No. There's somebody, we call him the first ticket, the chief engineer. Bill probably has a license of some kind to operate. And, of course, the station has a license to operate. FCC does some regulation these days. Here's John's first radio communication. John, our studio manager, is now allowed to take meter readings here at the...
Endorsement.
You have the podcast endorsement?
Broadcast endorsement.
Well, that's the interesting thing I'm talking about, because soon you might need a podcast endorsement. In the country of Turkey, where they have a similar organization, a radio and television watchdog, they have announced, and this, I pray this never happens in the U.S., they have announced that the FCC of Turkey will have oversight over all online content as well as broadcast content. We tolerate it in the U.S. because this radio station, the one you're listening to, uses a public resource, the airwaves, the spectrum, and so it has to be licensed to use the spectrum. And the FCC protects the frequencies and makes sure nobody else is broadcasting on our frequency and all that stuff. That's all good stuff. You don't really need that in the online world. And honestly, this is a scary move. And I worry when I see this happening because, well, let's think about it. Why would the Turkish government want oversight on online content? Netflix, online news outlets, what do you think? Well, they want to censor it. I presume podcasts as well. All online content providers have to obtain broadcast licenses from Artuk. That's the Turkish FCC, Artuk, which will then supervise the content put out by the providers. So I do the radio show, and I'm glad and happy and thrilled, in fact. It's my lifelong dream to be doing this show. And I'm thrilled to be doing it, and I'm completely content to be under the oversight of the FCC. It makes perfect sense in broadcast. I also do, as you may not know, a bunch of podcasts. I do a lot of technology podcasting, too. We have about 15 shows on our network at twit.tv. Been doing that for 15 years. And we never had to worry about government oversight or licensing any more than if you have a blog or web page. You should be able to publish what you want, even if it's against the government, especially if it's against the government. How else would you get a better government? It's kind of guaranteed if you suppress any criticism of the government that government's just going to get worse and worse. That's the whole point of journalism, of the fourth estate, is speaking truth to power. We don't have licenses here for newspapers or blogs or podcasts. I pray we never do. But it's a sure sign of an authoritarian government when that happens, isn't it? When they say, it's in the public interest that we keep an eye on things. So that was a story I saw this morning that kind of disturbed me. Here's one. I don't know if this will disturb you or not. We talk a lot about face recognition and the pros and cons, and there are definitely pros. Taylor Swift uses face recognition at her concerts. As you're going, and you may not notice it, the cameras are recording your face, matching you up to a database of stalkers and creeps and disruptors, people who've caused problems at concerts before. And that way, security can say, no, not you. We want this to be a safe place. I think that's a good use of face recognition. I'm told the Disney amusement parks use face recognition to find lost kids. That seems to me a benign and good use. Tell me what this is. A British data science company has come up with a new technology. They're called Data Spark, and the technology is called AI Bar. It's for bars, pubs. It uses face recognition to identify when somebody approaches the bar, logging their face on a video screen, adding them to a running queue. So that way you get service in order. What could be wrong with that? There'll be an icon. There's a video, actually, if you want to see it. If you Google AI bar, there'll be an icon next to your face. If the system says, he's under 25. Oh, that's interesting. So the bartender can check your ID. There's another feature called Face Tab. I think this is a good idea. That'll add your face to a bar tab. So when you go into the bar, you could say, "Hello, AI bar. These people are in my party. Drinks are on me." And you point them, and they get added to the list, and only they can order drinks in your bar tab. It also memorizes your drink order. "Hello, Leo. Would you like your regular?" "Yes, I would." And it can remember your face, says the company, for, and I'm quoting this, a short period of time, in case you briefly abandon your position at the bar. No facial images are stored. They're deleted within 24 hours. But, how do they know how old you are? Add this to the face recognition system that if you check into a Delta flight at Atlanta's Hartsfield Airport, you don't need to show ID. No, why should you? They know who you are from your face. Isn't that interesting? Now how much would you pay? What do you think? Is that an invasion of privacy? I kind of like the bar thing. If you want your image deleted before the end of a session, you need to ask the bar staff. And if you want to go to the bar without being surveilled, you'll have to stay away from the camera. That's what it says. They will, of course, have signs saying, if you don't want to be in the bar ID, just stand over here, citing a strip on the floor. Or enter this zone to join the AI bar queue. I would use it. They say it's 80% accurate. If it does fail and identify the same person twice, the bartender uses the app to correct the mistake so the machine learns. Did you ever see the British show Black Mirror? We are rapidly entering into Black Mirror territory. The world is rapidly changing. And sometimes these things, they seem minor. They seem, big deal. The Turkish government forcing you to have a license if you want to broadcast or podcast. Big deal. Or big deal, bars in Britain will now know what you look like. Big deal. But it all creeps up on you, doesn't it? Inch by inch, bit by bit. Pretty soon, I don't know. That's the question. Pretty soon what, Leo? I don't know. It makes me, it's unnerving, shall we say. 8888, ask Leo. That's the phone number. And we will get to the phones. Kim Schaffer's answering them right now. Your calls next. We live in a Black Mirror episode. Fortunately, I have cameras I can use to spy on all our employees.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lee Gifford.
Ah! Oh, you can't do that to Kim. That's just mean. I'm sorry. That's just too creepy. It's a miracle! It's Kim Schaffer at the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, Kimmy don't take no Schaffer. She's the unbreakable phone angel, and she is in charge of all things telephonic. Hi, Kim.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Telephonic.
Telephonic.
I like that word.
She's our telephonic angel. Today you are wearing a baticked sari, almost like maybe an African kind of a. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
And you're wearing your African beads.
No, it's part of the.
Oh, it holds it up. Thank God. Okay. It's an It's a miracle.
We'd have a
It's an
wardrobe
architectural masterpiece.
Well, the funny thing is, I kind of have a tendency to buy clothes and forget that I bought them and then find them in my closet. And I probably bought this 10 years ago and it still had a tag on it.
It's gorgeous. I love it. And it's perfect for a hot day like today.
It's going to be beautiful.
It's beautiful. You've been answering the phone since the wee hours of the morning, preparing our cadre of callers.
And speaking of telephonic, John in L.A., I love this question because it happens to me all the time on occasion.
Yes.
You know, on your iPhone,
yes,
that mysterious U2 song that just starts playing?
For me, it's worse. For me, it's Foreigner. You're as cold as ice.
Well, I don't know what. Well, okay.
Willing to sacrifice.
You actually have something besides the U2 album in your phone.
Oh, see, that's why you get the U2 album.
For me, I get the U2 album. And he doesn't even know why it's there.
The one that was a gift from Apple.
Yeah, U2 gave you their whole album. So
that's a good question.
Like, how the heck do you turn that off?
Yeah.
I was just trying to do it, and I couldn't even find my iTunes.
Thank you, Unbreakable. Thank you.
Two.
Line 2. Oh, I got to push all these buttons. It's so complicated. Hello, line 2, John in Los Angeles.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
You've been our first-time caller.
Oh, it's great to have you. Thank you.
I'm actually like Bill. Well, I won't use the stage name, but Bill Fox. And I remember one day he complimented you before he came on. I know he doesn't like compliments, but I like to compliment the host.
Thank you.
And he says that he loves listening to you. He doesn't know what the hell you're talking about, but he just loves your demeanor and you sound so pleasant. And that's why I listen. I don't know what you're talking about half the time, but it's very pleasant.
Oh, aren't you sweet? Well, thank you. And, this is not, I have to say, I understand it's complicated. In fact, my son and I are working on a new YouTube series of explaining things. Because I realize a lot of times I say, oh, yeah, Bitcoin blockchain, PGP encryption, face recognition. And it's like, well, yeah, but what is it? How does it work? What is it? So I thought, it'd be nice in future to be able to say, well, I have this video you can watch. So we're gonna do a whole series of those. We're putting that together right now. That'll help explain all this stuff. So it's not mystery. But I think if you keep listening to the show over a period of time, you're gonna, start to absorb it. Yeah?
Pretty cool. Thank you. So this thing has been driving me crazy. Okay, I'll be watching a video and I'll put my phone down because I have to go do something, and then all of a sudden, a song from U2 will play. U2, the band, will start playing, and for the life of me, I've tried everything. I've gone on my settings, and I can't shut it off, and it's driving me crazy.
Yeah. So the problem is, unfortunately, that the iPhone has a kind of default thing. Does it play through the phone, or is this when you're in the car?
Anytime.
Anytime.
Yeah.
It just starts playing it.
Yeah, it'll just start playing.
Are you watching the YouTube video and then it just says, no, you don't want to watch that. You want to listen to YouTube.
Exactly.
Well, that's
you don't want to listen to electronic music. You want to listen to YouTube.
So annoying. Well, first of all, that U2 album that Apple gave away some years ago is probably on many people's iPhones the only music they have. So that's probably why it's playing. Apple got a lot of heat from that because they actually pushed that album. It was called Songs of Innocence. I don't know if you remember this. Is that the album you've got, Songs of Innocence?
Yeah. I remember they were the first ones who were very vocal when MP3 started because they felt they were stealing.
No, that was Metallica. But U2, this has nothing to do with that. This has to do everything to do with Bono and Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, just kissing up to one another. In fact, it was the most embarrassing spectacle. They announced this at an Apple keynote. Bono was playing, U2 was playing a song, and then Tim Cook says, and now I'd like to announce we're going to give all of you this album, Songs of Innocence, for free. And he said, Bono, would you help me? And Bono put up his finger, and Tim Cook put up his finger, and they touched, like E.T., they touched fingers, and then, boom, everybody got the album on their phone. People were furious. Apple thought, but we're giving you a free album. Yeah, but I don't want it. It was incredibly annoying. You know, it's one of those deals. Apple at the time was, and still is, sucking up to the music industry, right? And so they probably got paid some money, and I don't know what it was just annoying as heck. And, you know, I like U2. Eventually, Apple was so embarrassed by this that they had to create a special tool that would delete it. I'm just checking now. It's gone. It's gone because the problem is it's now in your purchase history as if you bought it, and it will automatically download, which is really incredibly annoying. So that's why you've got it. You can delete it. It'll just, next time you get a new phone, it'll probably come back. Bigger, though, the issue of automatically starting. And like I said, for me, it's Foreigner, Cold as Ice, because once I played it, and then now anytime, but see, it's only when I get in the car. It's only when I pair with a Bluetooth device. And Apple says, well, if you're going to be in your car, you must want to listen to Foreigner, Cold as Ice. And I wish I could make it something else. Sometimes it is something else. Sometimes it's not. There is no easy fix. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody's telling me that Apple still has the remover online in our chat room. It's itunes.com/SOI-remove. Remove Songs of Innocence. Remove it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So the bigger question is why, even if you didn't have it on there, probably nothing would play, but maybe something else would play, right? So that's the bigger issue. He hung up. Oh, he probably thought I was done with him. He doesn't know that I keep going during the breaks. Bill Fox would know that, whoever that is. I'm sorry, Bill. I should know who you are. Maybe he's thinking Bill Handel. He's probably thinking Bill Handel. Right? Apple said there's no easy way to do this. There is, autoplay music over Bluetooth, and I'm wondering if maybe that's what's happening is his phone is seeing a Bluetooth headset or Bluetooth something and is going, pairing with it and then starting to play. I don't know. So, by default, the way it works, your iPhone is going to play the last audio source you were listening to. And I always wish it would be Audible because I'm listening to a book. But it doesn't always do that. Here's one suggestion from iMore. Add a silent track to your music library. Okay. And the iPhone will tend to prefer the alphabetically first silent track. So rename it to 0000 or, yeah, I think that would make it first, right? There's nothing that sorts less than 0000. So you could record some silence or get John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds, which is a silent record. Another interest. I'm surprised they didn't put that on the iPhone. And rename it from John Cage's 433 to 0000, and then that will play. This is not an easy thing to do. And frankly, as I said, my device was doing this. I don't know why it's doing it in the middle of punctuation sorts before numbers. Okay. So Dr. Mom says, instead name it comma, chameleon. You could do that. You could name it that. Comma, chameleon. And then it would go to the first thing. Okay, so numbers get sorted to the bottom on iTunes. All right. Whatever. Whatevs. But here's the thing. It's not when he gets in his car. This is the thing that throws me. It's when he's watching a YouTube video. Something's kicking in. Apple says we gave that album to 500 million people. Oh man. Oh. Bono actually had to issue a apology video. She was asked in a Facebook Q&A. He was asked, "Can you please never release an album on iTunes that automatically downloads to people's playlists ever again? It's really rude." To which Bono said, "Oops, I'm sorry about that." He's Irish, isn't he? "Oh, this beautiful idea, and we kind of got carried away with ourselves. Artists are prone to that kind of thing. Drop of megalomania, touch of generosity, dash of self-promotion, and deep fear that these songs we poured our life into over the last few years mightn't be heard." It's time for Scott Wilkinson. Our home. Wait a minute, I got to fix you. Your home theater geek. He's tilted.
I'm tilted.
There we go.
No.
There we go. My monitor is tilted. So Scott, this is a very fine TV.
It is.
It is a Samsung TV.
Yep.
But like all HD TVs today, it comes with interpolation turned on. Awesome article in Vulture this week.
Oh, yeah?
About this. And you may remember, motion smoothing, sometimes they call it. The problem is there's no standard, well, there is a standard name for it, but the companies want to use their own.
They all want to use their own name for it. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. So this week in Vulture, Bill Jabiri, motion smoothing is ruining cinema. Because it's fine for a football game. Fine.
It is. Yep.
It's fine for, it's interesting. TV shows. In fact, so we've talked about this before. Do you remember last December, Tom Cruise recorded a video saying, "Please turn it off." But it was so complicated. He said, what you need to do is Google your TV's brand and turn off interpolation, and I'm sure there'll be instructions there.
I'm not so sure.
But what this Vulture article quotes some studies, though, I thought that were quite interesting.
Oh, yeah?
They actually played back the same scenes. They quote a psychology and neuroscience professor, Pascal Wallish. He's at NYU. He says that our brains have been trained. He calls it entrainment. that we're trained that movies should be 24 frames per second.
Yeah.
And of course, people who make movies know that, and the way the actors are performed, the shots are composed and cut, the cameras move, all are for 24 frames a second.
Yep.
Similarly, TV is 30 or more likely 60 frames a second. And so they've done tests with people with clips of scenes at different frame rates, and people think the acting is better, the story is better, everything is better at 24 frames if it's a movie. But then MTV, I didn't know this, at one point did their video movie awards at 24 frames per second, and everybody said, "What's wrong? There's something wrong." So it's really that we're conditioned.
We're conditioned. That's exactly right. There's nothing inherently better about 24 frames per second.
We're just used to it.
We're just used to it. Now, we've had 24 frames per second for almost 100 years. And now people are going, if you see anything at higher frame rate as a movie, and the one example that is out there that you can see is Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk.
And he talks about that, by the way.
Yeah.
And says how disconcerting it was. But when they then played it at 24 frames later, people liked it. People liked it. He said it was like riding in the limo with the actors.
When they played it at 24?
No, at 120.
60.
Yeah, it was shot at 120. Yeah.
It was shot at 120. Believe it or not, 120 frames per second. Wow. But it was released on Ultra HD Blu-ray at 60. And that's how most people saw it even in the theater.
He saw it, apparently he saw a special screening at the 120.
I did too. I went because it was shown in LA and a couple of cities at the full frame rate, but it required very special equipment.
Yeah.
To do that. And I am not in this camp. I realize I'm in the minority, that I love the look of Billy Lynn. I really do. I think that 24 frames per second is a straitjacket.
Well, you're not alone because, of course, James Cameron, the director of Titanic and Avatar, is a strong exponent of high frame rate cinema.
Yep.
And nowadays, because most movies are shot on digital, they could be shot at that high frame rate.
Easily. The reason why we have 24 frames per second?
Tell me why.
Because it was the slowest frame rate that the early movie makers could get away with and still have the motion look reasonably smooth. And the reason that they wanted to go as slow as possible, film was expensive. And the faster you go, the more film you use.
So it isn't better. In fact, one of the reasons your HD TV comes with this high frame rate turned on is because there's a judder effect that's introduced in high-speed action, like a football game or an action movie.
Yep.
And on your TV, some people find that discomforting.
Well, it does look blurry and it does look stuttery.
Yeah. And
this frame interpolation cleans that right up. But it also adds what we call the soap opera effect. It makes a movie look like it was shot on video. And I think that's the crux of why people object to it, because they go, I went to the movies to see a movie, not to watch TV.
He quotes your colleague Mark Henninger and says, please, just put a couple of buttons on the remote that say I'm watching sports or I'm watching a movie.
Yep.
Because the problem is you have to dig into the menus and choose, and you're not going to go back and forth. And so, sports would look better with interpolation turned on, but movies look worse.
Yep.
And we all know that. We've all seen a movie where something is off. Like, it's kind of like you and I call it the soap opera effect. It's just a little, it looks a little cheesy.
It looks cheesy, like a soap opera or like a PBS special, afternoon special kind of thing. So, there is something to say for that. My bigger issue is, can we please break out of the 24 frame per second straitjacket that we shoot movies at?
You want to say, look, everything should be high frame rate.
Yeah, or maybe not everything, but we should have the option, and filmmakers should have the creative ability to have a wider palette. Maybe certain things would look better in high frame rate and other things wouldn't.
Yeah. So apparently, I didn't know this, Sony and Netflix have introduced a setting called Netflix calibrated mode on newer Sony TVs that actually says when you're watching a movie on Netflix, turn it off. But if you're watching Stranger Things, by the way, which is shot in HDR high frame rate, turn it back on again. So not everything on Netflix should be 24 frames. Apparently, Vizio has stopped making motion smoothing the default, which I think is good.
That is really good.
Yeah.
In fact, I just adjusted a friend's TV. He got a new Vizio, and I went into the menu system and look at that. The frame interpolation was turned off.
We actually default. Last Thanksgiving, I started a little movement that when you go to your folks' house for Thanksgiving dinner, go to their TV and turn off motion smoothing. They won't know what you did or why, but they'll be happy.
They'll thank you for it, at least subconsciously. That's very funny.
It's a really interesting question. This was it's in Vulture right now. I put a link in our show notes.
Vulture,
it appeared
I'm going to go look that up.
Yeah, it appeared in the print issue of New York Magazine just last week. But so I'm glad awareness is being raised. I watched Tom Cruise's video, and I didn't think that was going to convince anybody of anything.
There was also at least one director.
He was with a director, Quarry.
Guillermo del Toro, maybe.
He was with Quarry, I think.
Oh, I thought it might have been Alphonse Cuarón.
Christopher McQuarrie. They were making.
Oh, okay.
But they were making the Top Gun sequel, which doesn't look good with the interpolation on or off.
Yeah, well, that's another story.
That's another matter entirely. Scott Wilkinson, you'll find him at techhive.com, and, of course, every week here. He's our home theater geek. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I just took over your whole segment. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. You know what? One of these days I'll get to, actually, James DeRuvo wrote me a question.
Oh, good. Next week.
So next week we can do that.
I just thought this was so timely and something.
Oh, absolutely. Totally cool.
You got 2 minutes 48 left.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, everybody. Nice to see you all. Tech Dino says no delay. That's good. Mike B says audio, video is both good. Scooter X, the same. T1000, your thoughts on the passing of Jeremy Kipnis and his setup? I had not heard that. I hope you don't mean that Jeremy died. I did interview him on HTG, and I have been a friend of his for a long time, and I had not heard anything happening to him. So T1000, can you post a link to a story about that? I'm now upset. Thank you, Dr. Mom Grandma. Did the soap opera effect originate with videotaped versus filmed TV? You know, that's a good question. I mean, the soap opera effect really refers to specifically and only to frame interpolation on TVs, especially when it's applied to 24 frame per second content, which is typically movies. But you're right, TV was originally shot on film, probably at 24. I don't know that for a fact, actually.
I guess Kipnis had a heart attack while swimming. He's passed away.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. Fatal heart attack while swimming. I had not heard that. I'm really unhappy and upset and sad about that. Oh, damn. When I haven't switched over my browser yet. So when I click on that link, it goes to Chrome. And immediately I get this horrible.
Oh my God! There's instant
super
loss
lag.
of sync. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, we've proven it's the Chrome. That's for sure.
Yeah. I just quit out of Chrome again. So
really
okay.
terrible.
Well, I'm gonna have to go. I'll pay my respects later. But that's very sad.
Yeah.
That's very sad. Let's see here. Squirrel Nuts says, but on an old CRT, there's no interpolation either. That's true. Well, we'll have to continue this conversation.
That's why it wasn't an
later.
issue until the new HD TVs. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 88 Ask Leo. Nancy is on the line from Largo, Florida. Hi, Nancy.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. Is Key Largo the same as Largo?
No, it's not.
Oh, one of my favorite bogey movies. Oh, okay.
No, we're more in the St. Pete Clearwater area.
I know that area well. What can I do for you today?
Well, I just bought myself a new MacBook Pro today. I took advantage of a sale and the tax-free and all that good stuff.
Oh, congratulations.
Florida has a tax-free weekend, so.
Nice. Boy, I bet there's a lot of commerce on tax-free weekend. That's cool.
Yes, that's what it's all about. They do
Yay.
it for 5 days this year.
I love that. What a good idea. Of course, you don't have a state income tax, so sales tax is pretty important to the city coffers.
Right.
Nevertheless, that's great. So tell me about your new MacBook.
Well, I love it except for the fact that I have this Samsung T1 external hard drive.
Yeah.
So it's actually the SSD drive.
Yeah.
And I plug it in, and it doesn't. It shows
No, because it's formatted for Windows. Yeah. So the problem with the T1, do you use the encryption that came with the T1 or not?
I did when I had it on a different Mac.
That's why you can't see it now. So the way the T1 works, I actually take it off. I think it's great to have drive encryption, and I love it that Samsung kind of made it by default on the T1. T1's a little USB drive. It's actually great. It's a terabyte in some cases. I don't know, how big is yours?
Yeah, it's 1 terabyte.
Yeah. I think now they're up to the T5, which is 2 terabytes, but it's really a great little device. I bought one immediately, and I use it as my backup drive. But it had, by default, a file on there that you could run on Mac or Windows that would install special drivers into your computer. And this is the problem. It would modify the operating system so that you could just plug it in and you'd read it and you'd unplug it, and you wouldn't know it's encrypted, except that somebody else wouldn't be able to read the drive. But I don't like any third party modifying my kernel, my operating system kernel. So it made me a little squirrely. I didn't like the idea, and I removed it. The problem is it is installed on your old Mac. It's not installed on your new Mac. The software probably is still on the T1. I mean, it comes with that software built in. But I imagine you can also download it. So if you want to continue to use what's on that drive on the new Mac, you're going to have to Google the Samsung T1 software. Let me just see.
Okay.
Yeah, they offer it for download. I can't remember. You gave it a password, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you know that password still?
Yes.
Okay, that's the most important thing, because obviously if you don't know the password, nothing's going to fix this. So yeah, I see the portable SSD software for Mac on Samsung's page. You could download that. You'd have to run it. It would modify your Mac. It would require a reboot. And then when you put the T1 in on your new Mac, it'll ask, well, wait a minute, what's the password?
Okay.
And you'll be able to access it. So my initial thought, which does sometimes happen with external drives, if they're formatted for Windows, usually a Mac can read it, but sometimes it can be problematic. But in this case, that's not the issue. It's just that encryption software that comes on the T1.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate it, because it's nice and convenient to carry that with the laptop when I need to.
Yeah. Now, you're not going to like this part at all.
Oh, thank you.
One of the reasons you got a deal on that old MacBook Pro is because it's the rumors are strong there'll be a new MacBook Pro next month.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, good. Whew. I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings.
No, this isn't going to be my main thing, because I
good.
mostly do everything on my phone and my iPad. This is just for my husband's
good.
business. I want to focus on it and stuff.
And do you use that T1 for your backup? Is that your backup drive?
I got the MacBook Pro has 256 gig in it.
Oh, you need extra. Yeah.
Something extra. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not super fast. It's not USB 3. So the newer ones Samsung makes are. They'll be a little faster. The fastest, but it's going to be expensive, is if you could get a Thunderbolt 3 external drive, that'll be as fast as an internal drive. And in fact, it's my recommendation for people who are buying any computer nowadays with a Thunderbolt 3, because those internal SSDs are more expensive, they tend to be smaller. You don't want to spend to get a 2 terabyte SSD in there. But that's fine if you get an external Thunderbolt 3 SSD. Those are expensive, but they'll be full speed, as fast as an internal drive, and so that's kind of convenient. But you know what? If your husband doesn't know and doesn't care, it's fine.
Yeah, he doesn't know much when I do this stuff.
What he doesn't know won't hurt him, right?
I just say, honey, give me your credit card. Good.
That's what my wife does, too. Now I'm worried. All right. Well, there you go. There's a solution, Nancy.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Take care. Yep, I'll put the link in the show notes at techguylabs.com to the Samsung page where you download that software. It's encryption software. You'll run it. It modifies your operating system. Then when you plug in the T1 next time, it'll ask for a password, which you'll give it. And from then on, it operates just like an external hard drive. That's the beauty of it, is that the encryption is completely transparent. Encryption is important, by the way, on a solid-state drive like that, because it isn't possible to fully wipe the data from a solid-state drive. It's complicated, but it has to do with the way these drives are manufactured. They do something called wear leveling, and they don't write consistently to the drive like an old hard drive did. In the old hard drive, you could go sector by sector, say, write ones over it, erase it, write ones over it, erase it, and then you wouldn't have to worry about somebody getting your data off it. You can do the same thing with an SSD, but you can't guarantee you've hit every sector. That's the problem. That's because of wear leveling. So some leakage will occur. That's what they used to put on those potato chips that had that fake fat in them. Some leakage will occur, but whether it's an important bit of data, like a password, or something you don't care about, honestly, it's like pretty secure. But if you encrypt before you use the drive, then unless the person has the decryption key, they can't read what's there. You don't even have to worry about erasing the drive because they can't get to it. It's all gobbledygook for them. Now, and again, this is a rumor that Apple's going to do a new laptop. A pretty well-supported rumor by a number of sources. As early as September, maybe later. Next month, Apple will announce new iPhones. That's almost always the case. Sometimes they defer. They want the iPhones to take all the attention. They defer announcing anything else until the next month. So we do think there'll be some new inexpensive iPads this year and a new MacBook Pro this year. Maybe that's not till October that they announce that. Now, here's the important thing about this new MacBook Pro, though, and why I hope Nancy's not listening. I really hope her husband's not listening. Why you might want to wait if you can wait a month or two. The rumor is it will be a 16-inch in a 15-inch body. Apple, like all the manufacturers now, is going to make a bigger screen with smaller frame so they can get a 16-inch screen in the same size body. That's good news. It was always nice to have more screen real estate. Even better news from my point of view, Apple apparently, and this one, I won't believe this till I see it, is abandoning that horrible butterfly keyboard that they've been foisting on us on all their laptops for the last few years and bring back a more traditional spring keyboard, which would be fantastic. They've finally apparently heard what everybody's been saying. I would like to get rid of the touch bar, too. I find that a needless frippery. But I can live with a touch bar. If they put a good keyboard and a 16-inch screen, I think this MacBook Pro might be a good choice. Now, I should also point out, this MacBook Pro is probably going to be a high-end version. This is what Apple's been doing. You know, they have the iMac Pro. They have the Mac Pro. They're making very powerful, very expensive machines. I expect this new MacBook Pro will be that. So who knows where the price will start. Could be $5,000. So see, not so bad, Nancy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Da, 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 da. Now, Scott, pay no attention to that 53 or 47.
I gotcha. It's going to slip over to...
You get an extra minute in this hour. So it'll slip over to 6:30 and after a minute.
I was very interested in your talking about the new MacBook because I've been thinking, it's about time for me to upgrade mine.
Wait.
I should wait.
Yeah. Now, the rumors could all be wrong.
Yeah, right.
But this
my
pretty
current
well
one
sourced.
My current one predates the butterfly keyboard.
Oh, I know. Who wants to? And that's 2015.
Yeah.
So it is. You are due. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
And this one will be a very high end. I think, because I think they're going to aim at the video editing market. It's going to be like the iMac Pro and the Mac Pro. It'll be a MacBook
I don't
Pro.
need that much, but I really don't want to have another few years of
I hate
keyboard.
that keyboard.
Of a keyboard, of a butterfly keyboard.
Unusable.
Yeah, and I do a lot of typing, so.
Yeah. And this will be great
if
for video editing too, because it'll be close to 17 inches. It'll be a nice big screen.
Nice big screen.
Yeah.
And they'll eventually migrate it down to smaller, less expensive models, probably. But
maybe, who knows? Apple's very strange company.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Enjoy
the
next 8 minutes and 24 seconds.
Thank you very much, Titus. Why is my time so closely metered? Because we're on radio time, baby. There are very strict times when the show will start again. And that's how much time I have until then to say hi to everybody and talk to you. I was just reading some stuff, some of the obituaries of Jeremy Kipnis. I'm very sad about that. He was a very good guy. Very good guy. And apparently died of a heart attack while swimming. I assume he enjoyed swimming. So, going out, doing something you love, there are a lot worse ways to go. This reminds me so much of the story of an old family friend of mine, of ours, my family's, who was an engineer, but he loved dancing. He loved ballroom dancing, and every chance he went out ballroom dancing. He was married, but his wife wasn't particularly into it, so he just went by himself and he danced with whatever ladies were around, and it gave him such joy. And so one time he was out dancing, and he was just having a great old time, and boom, dropped dead right there on the dance floor. Bad heart attack. And I said, man, that's so sad, because he was a good family friend, but if you got to go, I can't think of a better way to go than that. You're in the middle of ecstasy, of joy, of doing the thing that you love doing, and you're out. If you got to go, and we all got to go, that's the way to do it. So I really hope that Jeremy was doing something he really, really loves, because that would be a really good thing. NS Geek, why don't I do a bit on the radio show? Well, I do. I just did. I'm on every day at 11:30, every Saturday at 11:30. Hey, Waikiki Guru's in Aspen this time. Ah, that's interesting. So, yeah. So let's see. I've been talking with Key43 about Amazon Fire TV, and he just got his grandma a Fire TV, apparently, in Insignia, which is the Best Buy house brand. And it's a Fire TV edition. And does that mean it'll work and connect with the Echo Dot? And I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert on IoT, Internet of Things, or voice control. Mike Heiss is. Is Mike still in the chat room? Let's see. M. Heiss, where are you? No, it looks like he might have ducked out. But he's an expert on IoT, so he would be able to tell you for sure. Dr. Mom Grandma might know too, because she's a big voice control kind of person, so she might know that. But I would guess that because it's a Fire TV edition, it has Fire TV built in, and Fire TV is an Amazon product, and Echo Dot is an Amazon product, that they should work together. I would be shocked if they didn't. Yes, Loquacious. I can only hope that when I go, I'm doing something I love. Richard C. asks, did Soap Opera Effect originate with videotape versus film TV? Ah, yes, this is what we were talking about earlier. There was a transition. When TV, in early days of TV, it was filmed. I don't know if it was at 24 frames per second. That's a very good question. I'll have to look that up. But assuming it was, it went from 30 to videotape. It went from 24, and then videotape was at 30, essentially, 30 fields per second, because early video TV was 30 interlaced fields per second. Or no, it was 60 interlaced fields for 30 frames. That's right. So you wouldn't think that's that much of a difference, but it kind of is. So that, in a way, I suppose that's where soap opera effect came from. But it really refers exclusively to when you're playing a movie on a digital TV and you engage frame interpolation. That makes the movie look like it's video, like it's television, because it changes the frame rate from 24 to something else. You can't go to 60 directly without doing something called 3:2 pull down, which has its own set of problems. Modern TVs, most of them can probably go to 120 frames per second. So you can take 24 up to 120 by multiplying by 5. So you can either take 24 frames per second and repeat each frame 5 times, which isn't typically done, sometimes, but not often. Or you can synthesize new frames in between the actual frames of the movie, and that's what frame interpolation does. And it makes it look like TV, and that is true. There's no question about it. And there are those who are vehemently opposed, like Tom Cruise, to making movies look like TV. Now, I agree when it's artificial, when it's synthesized. I'm not terribly keen on that, because I'm all about reproducing the director's or the content creator's intent. What I don't like is the slavish adherence to 24 frames per second as the only frame rate that movies can be shot at. I don't buy that at all. I think we should have artistic freedom, because now we have technological capability. We should have artistic freedom to use different frame rates to shoot content, depending on the content. You know, if you want to stick with 24 because you like that look, okay. But to me, it's got judder, it's got motion blur. I'd rather see sharper. And Billy Lynn is a great example. Some people hate it. Some people hate that look. I love it. I think it's great. So I think this is a really kind of tricky issue that fosters lots of debate and strong opinions. So let's see here. What else can we talk about in the next minute and 7 seconds? Because that's all we got left. Let's see here. Fire TV. I'm in sync again, fortunately. Yeah, well, okay. I'll take the last little bit and talk about Jeremy Kipnis. He had an amazing home theater. His home theater, I've written about it. Other people have written about it. It was a $6 million home theater. And he helped other people generate stuff, too. And I think his parents were opera singers, as I recall. He was a remarkable fellow.
Not too old either, unfortunately.
No, exactly.
Thank you so much, Scott. Have a great week.
My pleasure. Thank you. Look forward to talking to you next week.
All right. See you later. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here. It's not like I got tickled. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. I am tickled to be here. Talk about tech, computers, the internet, home theater. We talk about digital photography. We can talk about smartphones and smart watches and displays, all the things with chips in them, all the things that are changing the world around us. Our phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach us, but you got to use Skype or something like that to call. It should be toll free, though. That's the most important part. Phones are open. I don't know. Is there something going on? People are watching something on TV. I don't know, but this would be a good time to call if you haven't been able to get through before. 8888-ASK-LEO. I mentioned a couple of times last hour, but let me be very clear. We have a website where when I talk about things like, oh, you need to download this software, or here was an article I read, or anything we talk about, it all shows up on the website, so you don't have to write anything down. You don't have to remember anything. That's techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com. And we do a software pick of the week. We do a tip of the week, all that stuff there. And it's there all week long, and it's free. I'm not telling you about this because I want to make money off of it. We don't. But I tell you so that you can go there and use it. It's got a good search feature, and I think everything. This is a continuing saga. This is episode 1614. We also put audio and video of every episode up there, if we have audio and video, and I think in most cases we at least have audio. This was the first podcast I ever did, one of the very first podcasts ever, and I was very fortunate. I started doing the Tech Guy in Los Angeles on a station called KFI. Some of you are listening to it right now. And the wonderful program director there, Robert Bertolucci, brought me in. I had been doing technology TV, tech TV, still was doing that at the time. And I'd done radio for years. And she said, would you like to be our tech guy? I said, would I? Yes. So started doing that in January 2004. I remember around September 2004, a kid called me. I think he was 15 or 16. And he said, why don't you do a podcast? I said, a what cast? He said, a podcast. I said, I don't know what that is. He said, well, you take audio and you make it so that people can subscribe to it, and they'll get it automatically, and they can listen to it, and they sync it up to their iPod, because that's the only way you could do it at the time, or their computer, and listen to it. So that's cool. Robin Bertolucci at KFI was very generous. Ever since I started doing the radio show, we always had a website, techguylabs.com. It's always been free, but I said early on, you know what I'd love to do is put the audio from the show up there on the website too. And she said, yeah, that's fine. I said, wow, that's nice of you. Thank you. And so we always offered that. But by September 2004, when podcasts came along, I said, well, I guess I could make this a podcast. Let me look into it. Created it by hand. It was, in those days, it was pretty primitive, what they call an RSS feed that turned that show into a podcast. And so this is the longest running podcast of mine. I do quite a few since then. They're all at twit.tv. But it's also one of the longest running podcasts of all time. There are only a few that predate it. And so I'm pretty proud to be one of the early podcasters. Now that podcasting's hot. Now that it's the happening thing. People just discovered it 15 years later. But I'm happy to say that this is a podcast and has been since the very beginning, if you want to listen after the fact. And the easiest place to do that is techguylabs.com. There's no charge, no sign up. More than welcome to visit techguylabs.com any time of the day or week. Hope in Macomb, Mississippi. Hello, Hope. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
I love listening to your podcast on my commute every morning.
Oh, bless you, Hope. Thank you.
Yes, but I had a question about my phone. I have a Samsung Galaxy S9, and I was looking into the Samsung cloud storage, and I only have 15 gigabytes. And I was wondering if I could upgrade that at all, or
I bet you. I'm sure Samsung will sell you more. Actually, I don't know, because I don't use Samsung's cloud storage. I also have a Galaxy. I've always had. I've all the notes. I'll buy the new one, the Note 10. It's going to be announced this week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on Wednesday. So I'll be buying that. And the one advantage of Samsung cloud storage is that I use it to back up the phone. And when I get a new Galaxy, it's easy enough to, move everything over.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I treat it as for me, as just a part of an accessory to my phone. But you can buy, I'm looking at the page, you can buy more. They have premium plans. And if you go ahead.
I looked into that, but they said it's for select carriers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I went to my Samsung Cloud on my phone, and it does say, a 15 gigabyte basic plan, but I can't upgrade it for some reason.
So, according to Samsung, if you go to Settings, tap Accounts and Backup, tap Samsung Cloud, and then tap Storage Plan, You can scroll through the storage plans. They don't say anything on their page about your carrier, but I don't even know why your carrier would have anything to do with it. Who's your carrier?
I'm with AT&T.
Why would they? Why? Maybe they want to sell you some.
Maybe so. Because I tried those steps, and I don't even have an option to buy more storage.
That's really interesting. Well, here's what I would do. Do what I do. I keep the base free storage, and I use that when I get a new phone. It backs up all my Samsung settings and stuff and restores it. But as you probably know, Google does the same thing for you. Any Android phone, you're also backing up settings to Google. I only back up the basic Samsung settings to Samsung's cloud. If you wanted to buy more Google Drive, it's actually cheaper. Samsung charges $3 a month for 200 gigabytes. I get a terabyte for $100 from a year from yeah, and that's more than you'd ever need, by the way. I can't imagine using more than a terabyte. So and even Apple's iCloud is less expensive. Samsung charges $1 a month for 50 gigs, which would be plenty. $3 a month for 200 gigs. So that's $300. That's $36 a year. Yeah, and I'm not sure what Google Drive's cost for 200 gigs is, but I think it's less than that.
So how would I get it to automatically back up to Google Drive?
Well, because you're already using an Android phone, if you go in the same place, settings, backup, and accounts, you've got a Google account set up there. You can go to the backup section and say automatically back up to Google. And the nice thing about that is Google has photo backup, which I love with the Google Photos app. They're the best of all of them, I think. And that's essentially free for unlimited storage. But if you wanted to store high-quality originals, I don't, but if you wanted to, that would count against your Google Drive, so that might be a reason. If you use Gmail for your email, that counts against your Google Drive. But Google Drive, I mean, they have a word processor, spreadsheet. They have, I mean, they have backup solutions for your desktop as well as your phone. So it's more, in my opinion, more flexible than Samsung's. The other one that's very popular with a lot of people, there are two other big cloud storage companies. There's Dropbox and Box. And both of them would be, I think, more affordable and offer more choices. But the nice thing about Google Drive for you is it's automatic with Android. You just check a box that says backup to Google. It does the same thing that Samsung's doing.
Well, I did not know that because I already have Google Photos. I might as well.
Oh, yeah, go all Google.
Anything else.
Yeah, go all in on the Goog.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure. I'm so glad you listen, Hope.
Yes.
Have a great day. Keep listening to the podcast. Do you listen to the Tech Guy podcast, or what else do you listen to? Anything else?
I listen to the Tech Guy podcast.
Nice.
That's my, just getting into podcasts, and I found yours, and it's so informative.
Oh, bless you.
Every day.
Well, that's why we do a podcast. Thank you, Hope. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Yeah, you can find the podcast at techguylabs.com. We do audio and video. Video, nobody wants video podcasts. Well, ain't nobody got time for that. What are you going to do? Sit down and watch me do a show? No. So get the audio. You can listen while you drive. Much easier. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. We're going to get back to the calls right after this. Stay right here. Our Tech Guy podcast brought to you, just like the radio show, by Epson. I'm an Epson fan. And I thought Epson really did a brave thing when they created the EcoTank line of printers because, a lot of printer companies, those cartridges, that's a real profit center for them. But I think they kind of realized that the issue for users was these cartridges are expensive, they run out fast, they had to go to the store in the middle of a print job. It was just inconvenient. So they went to the drawing board and they thought, well, what if? And I think, honestly, I think some high-end photo printers had these tanks already. What if we put these ink tanks on our printers instead? And the EcoTank printer was born. Now you can kiss expensive cartridges goodbye. You won't buy any more cartridges. You will just be using the ink in Epson's EcoTank wireless color all-in-one super tank printers. They come with so much ink, thousands of pages, that you probably won't have to go get more ink for a year or two. It's been a couple of years for me. I love that. And it's easy to fill them up when it is time to get more ink. So these EcoTank printers with up to 2 years of ink in the box, and with each future replacement bottle ink set, You just put those in and you'll get 2 years, another 2 years. So typical usage, you buy an EcoTank today, you won't be going back to get more ink till 2021 and then 2023. With supersized, easy-to-fill tanks, EcoTank printers mean fewer trips to the store, less frustration to you, no more stress, no more having to jump up in the middle of a print job. And I tell you, for kids, they're doing their report that's due tomorrow, because they always do the print right before it's due tomorrow, and they say, we ran out of red. And you got to jump up and go to the store? Forget it. And the AutoStop ink bottles are really easy to fill the tanks with. I've done it a number of times now, and I love it because I keep buying EcoTank printers. I love them. EcoTank is changing the way people print. I wouldn't buy anything else ever again. Get the compact EcoTank printer for your home or office so you can just, like me, fill and chill. Check out Epson.com/EcoTankLeo and transform the way your home or office prints and do away with out-of-ink frustration. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the people you've been turning to forever. I've been turning to forever. Epson and the Epson EcoTank printers. They're reinventing printing once again. Now through September 30th, you'll get free overnight shipping when you use the promo code EcoTankLeo at checkout for any EcoTank printer. Offer valid within the 48 contiguous states. Some exclusions apply, subject to availability. Do use that code, though, because you want that overnight delivery, and it does, I get a little credit. They go, oh, those ads are working. EPSON.com/EcoTankLeo. EcoTank printers, just fill and chill. Epson, exceed your vision. And I got to say thank you to Epson, not only for supporting the Tech Guy podcast, but for taking the chance with these EcoTank printers, making something that consumers really wanted. Good job, Epson. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, rock out. 8888 asked Leo. Somebody in the chat room was asking, because the Samsung's going to announce, we'll get all the details for the Galaxy Note 10 on Wednesday. That's going to be their flagship, big screen flagship phone. We don't know all the details yet, although so much has leaked on the Note 10. There'll be a Note 10, which is, I think, 6.2 inches, and a Note 10 Plus, which is 6.8 inches. I like a big screen. That's why I got the original Note. People laughed. They mocked me when I used the original Note. They said, what is that? Is that a loaf of bread you're holding to your ear? What are you talking on? No, this is my new giant phone. We even coined a kind of derogatory term for them. We called them phablets. Phone tablets, phablets. Nobody says phablet anymore, and every phone is bigger than 6 inches pretty much. In fact, if you're one of those people who keeps your old iPhone 5 or iPhone 4 because you like a 4-inch screen, you like a small phone, it's easy to put in your pocket, who's getting mocked now, right? Every time I see somebody with those, I say, oh, that is cute. That's a cute little phone. Oh, what do you do with that? It's so tiny. That's mean. I'm just getting back. I'm getting back for phablet. So we'll expect a giant phone. The Notes are famous because they have styli, little styluses you pop in and out. And I've never used a stylus. I have one on many computers. I have one on my Surface tablet. I have one on my older Samsung Notes, and I've never used them. I just haven't found it. I'm not an artist. I can't. My hand is terrible. Like a lot of guys, I never had good handwriting. I'm a lefty, too, so that compounds it. Nevertheless, I like these phones. There's one thing, though, that's going to slow me down. If it's true, it looks like there will be no headphone jack. The single most widely used port in the world is the headphone jack. Everything works with it. You don't need to buy expensive battery-powered wireless headphones. It's crazy that we've abandoned that. And the quality of the audio is better, period. Period, with a wired headphone. Apple started this a couple of years ago. They said it took courage to do. It took stupidity to do, if you ask me. My friend Nilay Patel wrote an article saying it's user hostile. It's a user hostile move. To save a few cents, Apple said, oh, it's so tight in there. There's no room. We can't put a headphone jack. Well, I got to point out, Samsung's been putting headphone jacks in their Galaxies. I have this S10 with a headphone jack. They managed to find space for it and a lot of other features Apple doesn't put in their phone. So please explain to me why there's no room inside Apple. I don't know why they wanted to get rid of it. But now what's sad is that Apple, people slavishly follow what Apple does. Take away the headphone jack. Okay, that must be the right thing. Let's all do it. Put notches on the screen. Oh, that must be the right thing. Let's all do it. And Samsung has been up to now a little bit less slavish. And this S10, I love the S10. It's got my headphone jack, baby. But if the Note 10 doesn't, that's going to be a problem for me. I don't want to have to use wire. I have wireless headphones. I use them from time to time. There are times it's nice. But if I'm on an important phone call, I am not going to use wireless. Because if I don't want that phone call to drop in the middle, if this is a really important phone call, if Ed McMahon is telling me I've won the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes, I don't want it to hang up on him by accident. And it happens to me all the time with Bluetooth. Hello? Hello? So I'm going to use a wired headphone, Ed, when you call. Oh, well, he's not going to call, is he? I'm sorry. Who is it now that does the Publishers Clearinghouse? Somebody else. Is it that Harvey guy with the big teeth? Who is it? I don't know. What was I talking about? 8888, ask Leo. Then we're going to see next month, we're going to see a new iPhone. We don't know what they're going to call it. Right now we're at the 10S, right? And the 10S Max. Will it be the XI, the 11? I mean, I think so, but that sounds so stupid. It goes to 11. I think Apple's painted themselves a little bit into the corner here with their naming schemes. What will the iPhone 11 have? Well, as usual, we don't know, but I think one of the things all new phones will have is multiple cameras. It looks like the new iPhone will have, just as the new Google Pixel will have, that'll be announced in October. The Galaxy Note they'll all have 2, maybe 3 lenses. That's one thing I love about the S10. It's got a telephoto, close-up, medium, and wide-angle lens right in the phone. And the camera on this is so good. There's no reason to buy a point-and-shoot. Absolutely none. If you've got a modern smartphone, you don't need a point-and-shoot camera. Maybe you want a fancier professional, but you don't need it. So, new phones. It's the new phone season's about to begin, and it starts on Wednesday with Samsung's Note 10. Apple, we don't have a date yet for Apple, but almost always it's the second Tuesday in September or thereabouts. Google will probably in October announce its Pixel 4, and then there'll be a lot of other companies, I'm sure. IFA, the big Berlin computer show, is also first week of September, and I expect there'll be a lot of announcements at IFA. We'll talk about it. That's what I do here. That's what I do. New phone season. I kind of dread new phone season. Because, honestly, can I tell you the truth? I know people look at the, tech reporters and say, oh, isn't it cool? You get all the new stuff. And I thought that was cool. When I first started doing this many years ago, I thought, I'm going to have the latest and greatest all the time. That's going to be cool. Now I just wish I could keep my S10 and my iPhone XS. And I brought 3 phones to work by accident. Say my OnePlus. I don't want to buy another phone. Thank you. I'm very happy. And the new phones are going to be only a smidge better, if at all. And in fact, maybe the Note 10 will be a smidge worse because it doesn't have a headphone jack. And they're going to all cost $1,000. So I hate new phone season. It means I've been writing a lot of checks. That credit card's going to heat up. Well, speaking of credit cards, I think we're getting very close. Expect it this week or next. Apple will announce Apple Card, its new credit card. We've already seen some rules go up on the Goldman Sachs website. Goldman's going to do the banking back end. Apple will design the card, of course. It's a titanium card with no number on it, just your name. It'll be beautiful. They also are going to do the wallet software that'll come with it. That should happen soon. Next week or so, if you want the Apple Card. It's not, to be honest, not any better than any other card. It's just another credit card. But it's titanium. Maybe a little better in privacy. That might be the one saving grace. All right, Johnny Jet, travel guru, coming up right after this. Do I really use wired headphones? So I couldn't use Bluetooth for the show because latency. You'd be talking, I wouldn't hear from you for half a second or something. No, I use wired for all everything we do in broadcast. Always use wired. And as I said, when Ed McMahon calls me, boy, that'll be a special event. I will be using a wired headphone. He's been everywhere, man. You know who he is? He's Johnny Jet. We're just comparing daddy notes. Johnny is soon to be a father for the second time. Congratulations, Mr. Jet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's exciting. Johnny has not let up, though. Man, this guy is the hardest working man in show business. He's traveling all over, doing concerts and writing on his website, johnnyjet.com. He also has a great bunch of travel newsletters, including a Fare Alert that is a must subscribe. If you're the kind of person who says, I'm going to drop everything and go to Bali, as soon as they get that price down to $300, you got to subscribe.
Actually, there's some really good deals talking about that right now. Actually, I haven't tweeted them out or put them in a newsletter yet. But
you're hearing them here
United,
first, ladies and gentlemen, on the Tech Guys Show.
United from San Francisco to Hong Kong, $359 round trip.
What?
That's
Wait a minute. When?
economy.
Can I leave now? I'm on my way.
It's September, October. $359 round trip.
Henry and I wanted to go to Japan for the weekend. This would be perfect.
Yep. Also, Hawaiian has a deal.
Yeah,
Hawaiian Air.
yeah.
San Francisco to Honolulu, $297 round trip.
Jiminy.
Or you can fly Delta Seattle to Nairobi, Kenya for $568 round trip. So there's really good deals, especially coming right when the kids go back to school. That's when you're going to see a lot of sales going on.
Oh, really?
And they're already starting to come out.
Is that because traveling slows down a little bit? I bet it does, right?
Well, leisure travel, or the back of the bus, it will definitely, the prices go down. Business class will start going up. So I've been flying LA to Miami every week to go see my dad. I just did it a couple days ago again.
How's he doing? Is he out of the hospital yet?
Yeah, he's out of the hospital. Then he was in rehab and he was unhappy. So I surprised him and I busted him out of there. And now he's home. And
Wow.
But anyway, I've been flying LA, Miami every week. And I take the 777, not American, because they fly once a day in that flight. And the business class is wide open. There's 52 seats up there and there's only like 8 booked. And so I get free upgrades every time because I have elite status on American.
Nice.
But during business season, starting September, I could never get upgraded, even though I have really high freaking flyer status, because those seats are sold because business travelers are on the road.
So that's what flips. Right now, it's recreational travel. The back of the plane is a bit fuller, but as you get into the fall, when a lot of business travelers are going, all of a sudden it's harder to get a business class seat. That's interesting. It is,
although the airlines are getting wiser, so they're lowering the cost for first class in the summer. There's things like that. So actually, one of the good tips about traveling. So if you are going to a big city like New York, you try and target business hotels on weekends. And then if you're going during the weekend, you travel. Actually, if you're going during a week, you travel leisure hotels. So always try and do the opposite of what the general public is doing, if that makes any sense to you.
All right. This is valuable information.
It is.
Johnny, do you have an app for us?
I do. So actually, this is a website called Dondoo. I just tweeted it, DONDOO.com.
Dondoo.
Just came out.
Dondoo what?
Dondoo what? Dondoo.com. What will it do for you?
What does Dondoo?
So it's really simple, and they say it's a first-of-a-kind search engine for people looking to avoid travel faux pas. So it doesn't matter where you're going. If you're going to Australia, if you're going to New York City, you'll put in and they'll give you tips of what to do. So for like New York City, it says do not block the sidewalks. There are like highways in New York. Never stop in the middle of one.
No, they're moving fast. You don't want to mess with those New Yorkers.
I totally agree with that. I mean, you shouldn't stop in the middle of the sidewalk anywhere because
it's dopey.
It is dopey. And people are looking at their phones. You're going to get run over. But if you put in Finland, they'll say, you know what? You should not offer someone white or yellow flowers as a gift, which are traditionally reserved for funerals. So there's all these different tips.
Let me see. I'm going to check what not to do in Los Angeles. Don't extend the middle finger outwards. It's considered highly offensive. Okay. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Don't ask about personal income, assets, or other personal questions immediately after meet. Okay.
So this is bringing up mostly what they would give advice for people coming to America.
Do not call it show business. It's called the industry.
Well, that's interesting.
Don't give white lilies as a gift. Yeah, that's because it's for funerals. And don't give presents with the company logo. So this sounds like it's crowdsourced.
Well, I'm not sure if it's completely crowdsourced. I think they loaded it all up, and then you can vote if it's helpful or not helpful.
Oh, yeah, I see the check mark. Here's one. I don't know how to vote on this. Don't forget to greet children. Americans treat children as equal to adults. I think that's true.
It is true.
Much more so than in other cultures.
Yeah, I dated a Scottish girl in college, and her parents were British. And I remember her telling me that, the British think
thought
that
it was
kids
weird,
should be seen and not heard.
Don't forget to take off your hat, coat, and sunglasses when you go indoors. I wish that were true.
Not in LAX. That's not true.
People always
Keep
wearing
your
their
sunglasses
caps and their sunglasses. I see people in restaurants eating with caps and sunglasses on.
I know.
Times have changed since I was a young'un.
They really have changed. With the hats, I forget too. Sometimes I don't forget. It's just that, my head's getting balder.
Yeah.
Or
well, that's different. I think old folks can wear hats. Yeah.
So
don't forget to make a tight grip when shaking hands with direct eye contact. Americans consider it rude and arrogant when shaking hands without looking at each other's eyes. I think that's true. That's kind of subtle that maybe we take that for granted, but others might not know that.
Well, in other cultures, you don't want to look at them in the eye.
Right.
So it's actually a good idea. There was a book. I'm not sure if they keep updating it. It's Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands, I think it's called, by Terry Morrison.
I need to read this book. I feel I've been
90s.
making faux pas left and right as I travel.
Yeah, if you're a business traveler, you have to brush up on local customs. So let's say, like when I went to Japan for the first time, I remember pouring myself a drink when I was out to dinner with some clients, and they're like, you don't do that. You never pour yourself a drink. You pour someone else a drink, and then they'll pour you a drink.
Here's a good one. I wish Americans knew this one. Don't violate the traffic zipper. If a lane is closed or merging, you are expected to let one car in front of you, every other car. The zipper. Everybody should do that. Nobody does.
I agree
They
with
either
that.
don't let anybody in or they let 3 cars in. 1 car each.
Yeah.
That's the zipper.
Well, and speaking of cars, I mean, on the freeways here, people are just passing on the right. You go to Germany, you would never.
Oh, I know.
Ever
I learned
pass
that.
on the right.
I really learned that.
When you're up.
I got in trouble in France for driving in the left lane. No.
It's just for passing. Only for passing. And I wish it was the same way here.
This is a great site. It's D-O-N.
Dondu. Yeah.
Well, I think Dondu. I don't know what that. D-O-N-D-O-O, but I think it's like do and do. No, that doesn't make sense either.
I have no
do
idea.
and not do, that
I'll
kind
put
of
it
thing.
in the chat room right now.
Yeah, Dondu. All right. That's good. That's a great site. Do you have an app?
I do have an app. Actually, this is actually a website too. How much time we got? Because this
Got
one's
a
a
minute.
longer one. You know what? I'm going to give you a tip.
Okay. Give me a tip and save the app
save this
for
one.
next time. Okay.
So one of my buddies, I was at a big travel conference, and one of my buddies was talking about how he still has AOL email. He goes, people laugh at me all the time. And he goes, the thing about AOL email is that it doesn't get blocked in China. And he goes, he works in China a lot. So he thinks, so he keeps an AOL account for places where they usually block, Gmail or Yahoo or whatever they're blocking. So it might be a good idea to have an AOL email for when you're traveling to certain countries. And I never even thought
Just
about
don't
that.
use it in
thought
America because people will think you're nuts.
Yeah. They'll think you're 80 years old.
Oh, this is good. Johnny Jet, man, he's full of this stuff. And you can get more at his website, johnnyjet.com. Did you get invited to the big Instagram influencers party in Malibu?
No, I wish I did. I didn't know about it.
Oh, man, I thought for sure. He's an Instagram influencer on Instagram, on Twitter, all Johnny Jet, and he joins us here each week. And as you can see, he influences me, always for the better. Thank you, JJ.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back to the phones right after this.
I'm going to Chicago this week for a conference.
Good. I love Chicago.
Yeah, and then I'll probably pop down and see my dad again to surprise him, and then I probably won't go see him for a while since the baby's coming.
Yeah. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah. 8888 ask Leo the phone number. Grant, St. Paul, Minnesota. Hello, Grant.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
So, I'm the kind of guy that has no license because of medical reasons. So, I'm interested in e-assist bicycle.
Oh, I'm such a fan of these bikes. In fact, I rode my electric bike to work today.
Yeah, but I'm also not that wealthy. I'm not a
Yeah, and they are. They
like
do.
yourself.
They tend to be more expensive, I guess, because of the motor and the battery than regular bikes. They're also heavier because of the motor and battery. But the nice thing about them is they are bicycles, so you can pedal them and get as much exercise as you want. Almost all the bikes sold in the U.S. these days are pedal assist, PAS, and that means the engine goes when you pedal. And the harder you pedal, the faster you go. Most have different levels. I recommend and very happy with, but they're the bikes from a company called Rad Power. But you're going to immediately see that they're expensive. The thing is, they're less expensive than almost any other electric bike. You can get cheaper ones, but they're going to be kind of junky. For a good electric bike, and we're talking about, I'm sorry to say, $1,500-$1,600. I know. But now there's another option, but it takes some skill. I don't know if you can do it. But you can electrify existing bicycles. The problem is, the motor's about $500, the battery's about $500. So that's why these e-bikes tend to be more expensive. You add $1,000 for the electrification in effect. But if you felt pretty handy with it, there are definitely online resources for electrifying an existing bike. I'm loving if you can afford it, I honestly think if you add a bicycle and the trouble that goes to electrify it, the cost, $1,600, $1,500 doesn't sound that bad when you put it all together for something that comes out of the box ready to go. I love it. My wife has a Rad Rover, which has big fat tires. I have what they call their city bike, the Rad City, and I am very fond of it. I have the Rad City step through because I'm older and I don't want to hike my leg all the way over on top of it. And I don't mind if somebody says you're riding a girl's bike. It's not a girl's bike. It's a step through. The other reason I'm glad I got the step through is I ended up putting a fairly big basket on it, and it would be hard to get on it now by hiking my leg over it. So it's easier to do it. They also make, and you'll see a lot of these, cargo bikes, which have bigger motors, bigger battery, are designed to haul stuff. And in fact, I've seen people riding around with their kids on the back of a cargo bike. You can get a kid's seat.
Yeah, good cargo capacity would definitely be good for me since
it's everything. You go to the store.
Car at all.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Anything.
Yeah, you can haul stuff if you want. You can even get a little trailer and then really haul stuff. Although the electric cargo bikes have a longer back portion and a longer bed. It's almost like a pickup truck. They have a little bed in the back, so you could attach baskets to it or attach something to pull it, and they have more pull capacity. Rad Power's cargo bike is $1,499. So that is expensive. I understand that. But if you shop around, we got our son a Specialized. That's a well-known name in mountain biking. I've had Specialized bikes my whole life. I love those bikes. It was $4,000. So I kind of choked at that point. I think for the price, these e-bikes are the best out there. radpowerbikes.com. And like I said, it's for an older person, with your joints get, a little stiffer and stuff, going up hills can be a problem. These e-bikes are still bicycles. You still pedal. Although Rad Power bikes have throttles, so if you wanted to cheat and just treat it as an electric scooter, you could, and just scoot around. They're all to comply with state law, and different states have different laws, but generally in the U.S., topped off at 20 miles an hour, which is plenty fast. I wouldn't want to go faster. That would be dangerous.
I was looking at the laws in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Maximum is 20 miles.
20 miles an hour. They generally have to have pedals. They have to be pedal assist. Some states will not. Yeah, some states will not allow a throttle. But I like having the throttle. I'll tell you why the throttle is great. You're sitting at a light at an intersection, and instead of having to pedal hard to get started, you just twist the throttle. Boom, you're going. And then you can pedal.
Yeah.
And you still get exercise, but you don't have to huff it up the hills. And I feel also a little safer because I'm a little more nimble with that motor. I think these are great. I'm a big fan. I wish they weren't so expensive. I've seen less expensive ones. I fear they're not going to be reliable in the long run. But maybe keep listening because I understand. I mean, that's a lot of money. But maybe somebody listening knows of a good, inexpensive one. These after shopping around, trying a bunch of different companies, the Rad Power bikes are the least expensive, decent quality bikes I've found.
And the link for that will be in your Tech Guy Lab.
Yeah, you bet. I'll put it there, and I'll even put a link to the one I have, and maybe I'll even post a picture of me riding it to work. Get a helmet too. Got to ride with a helmet. I got a helmet from a company called Laval, Livall. They sell them on Amazon. Also a little pricey. They're around $100, but they have lights built into them. They also have Bluetooth built into them, so I can listen to music. It's not great speakers. I mostly do books, audio books if I want, and I can take phone calls without taking off the helmet, without taking my hands off the bicycle. So that's nice. And then it has blinkers too. So when I make a left turn, I got a little light in the back of my head that goes bleep, bleep, bleep. So I'm pretty happy with those Laval, Livall helmets. I'm there. We'll put a link to Nomad in the chat room is saying Staton, Staton, has kits for upgrading bike up to an electric bike. So that might be a worthwhile project for looking at if you wanted to do that.
Another thing I was wondering is, I kind of also like the idea of a trike where it's 3 wheels.
I have a recumbent, and yeah, sure, why not? Then you got almost a little motorcycle. That would be a case of getting a recumbent trike, which I ride and I love. I got mine from Terra Trike, TerraTrike. Problem with the Terra Trikes is they're 2 wheels in the back, 1 wheel in front. They're a little wide, so it's hard to fit into a bicycle lane. I feel a little less safe on that, and because you kind of take up some of the road. On the other hand, if I had a motor in that one, now I want to electrify that. Man, that'd be fun to ride around. Good for off-roading. Be basically having a little car.
That's sort of what I'm looking for since I can't have a car.
Yeah, I honestly think electric bikes are going to sweep the country. You can rent them if you want to try them. Probably not where you are, but maybe St. Paul, they might. Both Uber and Lyft have bikes. Uber has something called jump bikes. They're rental electric bikes. To give you some sense, remember they're a little more beat up than yours would be. In fact, some of them are really beat up. They're maybe not as comfortable, but at least to give you a sense of what it's like to ride an electric bike. I did that. I rode a few electric bikes before I bought one, and I'm very glad I did. I'm extremely happy. I honestly think this is the wave of the future. No emissions. You get about a 20 or 30 mile range, depending on the bike and the size of the battery. Certainly enough to go to the grocery store and come back. That's why I put a basket on mine and a net so I can go shopping. We did that the other day. Went out and we had run out of some groceries. Went and did a little shopping. My wife and I. It's so much fun. And I think they should make cities more, amenable to this too, because it's just good for everybody. Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I think you're going to love it. If you can get one, do. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Tech Guy Podcast today brought to you by Capterra. This is a lifesaver. I'm throwing out to all of you using business software that's more than a few years old. I know. You got to use Internet Explorer 8 or Windows Vista to run this software because, well, the boss's nephew wrote it when he was in school. Now he's gone. He doesn't want to support it. Nobody's fixing it. It can't be updated. But you're stuck with it because the whole business runs on it. Does that sound familiar to you? You need Capterra. Capterra is the leading free online resource to find modern, hot, good, wonderful software for your business. Just business software. Just business software. And the best thing about Capterra is, by the way, 700 categories, thousands of programs and everything. I mean, everything. The big stuff like, customer relations management, CRM, and, sales management and that kind of thing, or video conferencing, calendaring, but also like line of business software like yoga studio software or veterinary software, mortuary software. I mean, how to run, software that runs your business, but it's all modern. It's all state of the art. The directory is easy to search. You can find what you want. You can narrow it down by rating, by capabilities, by how many people can use it, what kinds of features it has. Find the ones you want. You can set up a comparison chart of up to 4 different programs. But then the best part happens. You read the reviews, and this is where Capterra is exceptional. They're getting close to 1 million reviews from real users verified of these products. And there's 1,000 more reviews every day. That's how it's, millions of people use it every month. It's very, very popular. So you're going to go there. You're going to say, well, here's a couple of programs, but which one's the best for and you read the reviews, you will know. This is a fantastic resource. And here's the thing that blows me away. It's free. There is never a charge. It's not upsell you. There's no freemium. There's nothing. It's just like the web used to be, just wide open and free. Capterra, CAPTERRA.com/techguy. Capterra believes software makes the world a better place because software can help every organization become a more efficient, effective version of it yourself. So stop running that old software. It's not secure. It's not safe. It's not worth it. Go to capterra.com/techguy and find the tools you need to make an informed decision for your business. Capterra.com/techguy. Capterra is software selection simplified. We thank him so much for making the Tech Guy podcast possible. And if you would, make sure you use that URL, because then they'll know you saw it here, and that helps us. Capterra.com/techguy. Thank you, Capterra. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We talk about smartphones. We talk about smart watches. We talk about e-bikes. 8888 Ask Leo, the number. I'd love to talk to you. I wonder if electric bikes will get less expensive as they become more popular. Man, once you ride one, it's like, this is the great. Unless you're an athlete and, you're serious about, I see these guys in the little tight shorts and the, special shoes and all that. And of course, you're not going to ride an electric bike. But for somebody like me, it really, it's just great. I feel like I can bicycle anywhere all the time. I just love it. Highly recommend them. And I'd love to see the prices come down. I guess it's going to happen because the first electric cars were very, very expensive, and they've gotten less and less expensive now. They're almost to the point where they're the same price as a gas car, and that's going to happen. The vehicles will get to the same price. I'm sure they will. The batteries are the expense. Those prices will drop. But electric motors are so much simpler than gasoline motors. That should save you. Certainly saves you in maintenance in the long run. Back to the phones. Let's see. It's Mark in Los Angeles. Hello, Mark.
Hello. Let me get you off the speaker.
Okay. Thank you.
1 second. All right. Thanks for taking my call, Leo.
Well, thank you for calling.
I had a computer lag question, but before that, could I ask you a question that you mentioned something last week during your visit to Santa Monica?
Yeah.
You mentioned something about I think you called it Vortex.
Oh, the Void.
VR.
Oh, the Void. Oh, the
Okay.
Void. Oh, boy, is that fun.
All right.
We'd
So
interviewed them when they
fun.
started. I'd had them up here and did a little demo, but that wasn't nearly enough to give me the experience. And I think you're to see a lot more of these. In fact, we went to Universal Studios, and they have rides there that are simulated. Instead of having to build a big roller coaster now, you could just put some people in a bucket, shake it up while they watch a movie, and your brain is tricked. Well, imagine if you do that with virtual reality, and that's what the Void is. They set you up when you go in there. They hook a backpack onto you with that's really a computer, obviously, with virtual reality glasses, somewhat like the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift. Normally when you have that gear on, you can't move because you'd run into things. You'd hit stuff, right? You can't see.
Yeah.
And of course, in most cases, you're attached to a big computer. Although now Oculus makes a version that the computer's built into the glasses. So in theory, you could move around, but it's still dangerous. You could walk into a wall or a sofa. But what they do at the Void, they build a space that the VR matches, except that instead of being in a kind of featureless industrial space, in this case, we did the Star Wars one. You think you're on a Star Wars vehicle launching through space. You're disguised as a stormtrooper, and you're kind of trying to. There's a whole plot. You're trying to get somewhere. It's about. I don't know how long the experience is. Maybe 5-10 minutes. It's not super long, but because it's immersive, and because they have physical props that match the virtual reality, you really feel like you're in it. It has the same problem all VR does, which is the screens are not yet so good that they look like the real world. But your brain quickly suspends disbelief and says, "I'm here. Okay. It's fun." I mean, it's not. I mean, you can kind of peek around, but highly recommend it. They're all over the country. Not just in we went to the one in Santa Monica, but they're all over. I think Disney owns them. They certainly have a stake in them. So if you go to thevoid.com, you can find out all about it. If you get a chance, highly recommended.
All right, thank you. I thought it was a vortex, but good. It's the Void. I will definitely go.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'll tell you can watch videos and stuff, but until you're doing it, it's hard to really experience what it's like. It's pretty amazing.
I can't wait. I know what it's going to be like.
Good.
All right. Question. So I have two separate computers, both Windows 10. They both lag. And one of them I recently restored the original the OS that came with it and then updated back to the 10. And so I thought it was only the web the web browsers that were lagging, but opening up Office 365, you would open and it'll take at least 5 seconds until it'll respond and then starts opening things up. And then recently, the same computer, I would get the off map.
So when you say lag, the lag is in the launching of an application, not once it's running?
Not once it's running, yeah.
Okay. So programs are slow to launch. And how's the boot up time on that?
I haven't booted up in a long time.
Okay. I'm going to guess it's going to be a long time. Usually that's a hard drive issue. So there's a couple of ways to address this. So as computers get older, the hard drives get more and more unreliable. And sometimes it gets to the point where critical files that have to be read in order for that program to run are hard to read. The computer is designed not to give up, so it'll try. It says, "Oh, I didn't get it. Let me try again." It'll try a few times before it gives up. If it gives up, then you'll know something's wrong. It'll say, "I can't launch this program. It's broken." But if it just has to do it a few extra times, that's enough to make it feel like it's really sluggish. And so to me, this is the most often the cause for lag. There are other things that could be causing it. You could have something else running in the background, slowing it down. I don't know if you remember with Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy. For months, we were having trouble with him. I see him. You don't. You're listening on the radio, but I see him on Skype, and his lip sync was terrible. He'd talk, and a second later, his lips would move. And finally, somebody in our chat room said, "Is he running Google Chrome?" I said, "What?" "Well, yeah." He closed Chrome. The lag went away. The minute he opened up Chrome, it came back. Because Chrome is such a hog, such a pig, that it couldn't work in real time. So that's another cause of lag. But generally, if it's that the programs don't launch fast, but they do run okay, it's a hard drive issue. Because remember, once they're in memory, they're running out of memory, not off the hard drive.
And same thing once the multiple applications are open and when I'm switching from one application to another.
Yeah, that's more a CPU issue because those are in memory unless you're using swap at that point. So going from program to program, so you'll hit Alt-Tab, select a program, and it'll be 1, 2 before the window pops up?
Something like that, yeah.
How old is the computer? How much RAM do you have?
I have to now look into those.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. So it could be that may be that there is something else running on there, and there are ways to figure that out. It's a little more complicated. You can hit Control Alt Delete. You're on a Windows machine, I hope.
Sure.
I don't know why I hope that. I don't hope that, but you're on a Windows machine, I expect. So Control Alt Delete and then open the Task Manager. You can in the Task Manager look at what's using a lot of processor. And if there's something that's hogging the processor all the time at the top of the list, using 100% of the processor, that could also be it. We would have seen Chrome at the top of that list. But sometimes they're window indexing, and sometimes it's malware. I mean, honestly, it could also be something bad that you didn't put on your machine doing it. So it's hard for me from remote, obviously, to figure this out, but there's a couple of choices. Often, if it's just a hard drive, replacing the hard drive, and in fact, replacing it, if you can afford it with an SSD, will fix it all. Solid state drives are so much.
I was just about to tell you, my first computer, I remember this is happening on both computers. One computer is SSD. I was just wondering if that
shouldn't happen on an SSD. It should not happen on an SSD. So if they're both doing it, it's not a hard drive issue. At least it's not on the SSD. I wouldn't replace the hard drives. I would now see what is running in the background. Hit Control Alt Delete.
Gotcha.
Open the Task Manager. See what's going on in the background. It sounds to me like something serious is going on. Maybe there's a process gone wild. This is not unusual. That's taken up all your CPU cycles. That could cause that kind of thing. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We'll take more of your calls in just a little bit. Stay right here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number. Mike in Riverside, California. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hey, so I was going through some things, and I found a couple old floppy disks.
Oh, my.
I had to fire up and,
And you have a floppy drive somewhere?
Well, I had to fire up an old computer.
Yeah, I don't think, if I had a floppy disk I wanted to read, I don't know what I would do at this point. I do not have a floppy drive anywhere.
Yeah, it's on an old computer. Yeah. But at the time I did this, I password protected it.
Oh,
and
no.
I have no idea what the password is.
Of course you don't.
Yeah.
That was the 80s, man. You were a different person. Holy cow. Holy cow.
Yeah, so any thoughts on how to get into it?
Do you know how you password protected it? Because there was no built-in way to do that. You must have used something to do it.
I don't recall.
What happens when you try to read the disk? Something pops up?
Yeah, when I put in the disk, it's asking for a password. And then I try a couple passwords that I've had forever and says, no, that's not it.
Well, I feel your pain because, and this wasn't even that long ago, I created a Bitcoin wallet when Bitcoin first started, password protected it as one does. Now has 7 Bitcoins in it, which at one point were worth $140,000. I can't remember the password to save my life. I've entered every password I ever used. And normally I use a password manager. It would have been in there, but it wasn't, which to my mind means, well, I must have used something obvious. But I guess it's not that obvious because I'm staring at $140,000 I can't get to.
Oh,
so I feel your pain. My question again, though, is I don't know how you password protected it. Floppy disks are not normally password protected. So you're in Windows when you're doing this?
Yes.
And what does the pop-up look like? Does it look like a Windows window, like a normal dialog box?
I wish I was in front of my computer right now.
Because I feel like it should look like it should be ASCII, right? It should be ASCII text, like red and blue, and primary colored ASCII text. But maybe I don't know.
No.
Somehow you used a program to protect it, and I can't help you break it unless we kind of know what that is. So we're even more out of luck here. Honestly, it feels like you could examine that disk and get stuff off of it even Like maybe put it in not a Windows machine, but somebody in the chat room is saying a Linux machine, or boot up Linux on the machine and then put the floppy in and see what you see. By the way, do that now because Linus Torvalds, 5 days ago, the creator of Linux, announced that Linux's kernel will no longer support floppy disks. he has declared them orphaned. They're historic relics. But for now, you still should be able to read it. And the reason I say that is you might be able to use low-level disk tools on Linux to access the data on that drive. I can't think of why. Now, you mean just for reading? Because remember, in the old days, floppy disks had a little switch you could push down to make it so you couldn't write to it. That's write protection. Right. But you're just talking about reading it. Yeah.
Correct. I have no idea what's on it. I mean, it's probably useless stuff, but just curiosity.
How could you? Maybe let me see if the chat room might have some old timers in there. Was there a way to password protect floppies in those days? How did you do it?
I wasn't that techie, so there had to be a way because I'm not technical enough to have figured out a different way.
There was no built-in default way to do it, but there may have been in that computer you had. That operating system may have had a program running that did it. Are you using? Let me ask you about the floppy drive. Is this a floppy drive built into the old computer?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So that might be another way to do this. Linux won't support those anymore, but it will support USB. They don't need a driver for that. So you could also get you could still get, I think, USB floppy drives to read it. Maybe that would work.
I've seen that on eBay for like $15.
Yeah. Might try that if you really want to know what's on there. I think, though, you were running some tool in the background on your machine at the time that automatically, said, you want to password protect this? And unless we can figure out what that is, I think you might be out of luck.
Okay, just a thought, just some idle curiosity.
I don't blame you. I mean, there's probably something really good on there. I don't know what.
I'm having a problem with an old Dell computer, too. That's password protected. And I can't
passwords. Don't you hate them? I hate passwords.
Well, I did that for a job to be able to access their site.
Yeah,
they had to have admin control.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
and they're no longer around to take that off.
Oh, that's nice.
And I don't remember the password.
So it's a BIOS. It's in the BIOS probably.
Right, and I'm okay with just wiping everything clean.
Yeah, you'll be able to do that. You'll have to Google how to do it in Dell, on a Dell. You have BIOS, probably BIOS security password set, and there are ways to remove that. It's a lot of steps, but you can do it.
Okay.
Almost certainly you can do that. There were many systems. Here's a wiki. I'll tell you what, I'll put a Wikipedia page up on... Well, but that's copy protection. That's not going to be it. You're saying not that it's copy protected, but that it's encrypted. It's the data on there cannot be read unless you give it a password. Is that right?
Yeah, I can't even get into anything without.
Yeah, you can't see what's on the disk even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know what it is, so it's impossible to say how to get around it. Next time you use it. Look carefully at the pop-up and see if you can get any information at all from that about what's doing it, if there's a program name or anything. If you could get that, then you might be able to find a program that'll get around it, a brute force that will get around it. It was a regular floppy, right? It wasn't one of those fancy LS-120 floppies, was it?
I don't even know what that is. So no, just a regular floppy.
There were, towards the end of the floppy era, there were a number of mechanisms designed to put more data. Because the old floppies you could put 1.5 megabytes on, which nowadays would hold nothing, not even a song. So they came up with all sorts of ways, like the zip disk and the LS-120 disks, which were optically encoded so that they could be more reliable and store more data. Those might have had some, I know Zips did have password protection built in, but a standard old floppy, boy. Is it hard shell or floppy?
Hard shell.
Yeah, it's the old fashioned. Somebody's saying try the password. And if not that, swordfish. I have no idea. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 1.44 megabytes. That's right. That's a great mystery, and I think it's just if you can't remember what you used, it's going to be pretty hard to figure out how to get around it. You might be able to examine the disk and pull the sectors off one by one. It depends also on how it was encrypted. Is it just locked so that you can't open it, or did they actually encrypt files? In those days, I doubt they encrypted the files because that would be prohibitively CPU intensive. So it may well be that it's just locked that you can't read the directory, in which case, no problem. Just get that floppy on a system that doesn't know anything about that program and look at it sector by sector. You might be able to get the data off, and it's not even encoded. You know what I'm saying?
Kinda.
Well, that's okay. I only kind of know what I'm saying too. So what I'm thinking is, the most likely scenario is there has to be a program on that disk to run when you put it in. That Windows, I can't even believe Windows can open it and run it, but apparently can. So there'll be a .exe file or maybe a .com file on that floppy disk. The question is that thing, the only thing it's doing is keeping the operating system from looking at the contents of the drive, or is it an encryption tool that actually scrambled the data in every file? The former is much more likely, especially in the old days. You wouldn't want to take the time to encrypt every file in the floppy. So they'd put in kind of a mediocre security solution that wouldn't let you read the floppy unless you knew the password. But you can, if that's the case, you can get around that. Just don't open it in Windows. Open it in something that will let you look at the contents of the floppy directly and copy stuff off. Linux would be a good choice. This would take some skills from somebody who knows what they're doing, but that's what I would do next, is I would put it in a Linux machine, see what you see.
Got it.
Problem is, no one has floppy drives anymore. Hey, good luck. That's of course, and you know this, there is nothing on there that you would want. It's dopey. It's a list of BBSs and their phone numbers. It's something dopey.
Right.
But
probably.
But it's hard not to imagine something fantastic on there. There's jewels in there. That's fun. I have a bunch of software that I wrote. The source code is on Macintosh floppy disks, and I just don't have any way to access them. I have to find somebody with an old computer to access them. But I've kept them for sentimental reasons,
Hey, it's great security.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. Good luck. There's a bad guy'd be able to get into it right away. That's what you need. You need a bad guy.
That's it.
And you can get in. Hey, thanks for the call.
A new circle of friends.
Yeah, get some bad friends. That's what you need. Yeah, I think that's probably what you could do. Monster Mash, in a nutshell, boot a USB Live Linux on your computer, put the floppy in, create a disk image from the file, send it to a friend, open it with a hex editor, and in other words, you don't even have to touch the floppy once you've created an image, and you would certainly be able to create the image. My guess is you're going to find in the image the very first thing that loads is a .com file that contains this, quote, password thing. Actually, can Windows run a .com file? Probably not. Must be an exe. And yeah, just go through the hex. Encrypting locking floppy disks. Yep. Well, Marsgrim, thank you. We'll put that in the show notes. Would anyone know where I could download a program that would encrypt or lock a floppy disk? WinZip. No, that makes a password protected. Disk lock. There you go. That's probably what it is. Disk lock. Which is long gone. So that's from Simtel. Yeah, I dimly remember disk lock. That rings a bell. Lunch today and the Tech Guy Podcast brought to you by DoorDash. I'm not sure which is more important. The podcast or slices on your sofa. DoorDash connects you to your favorite restaurants. No matter where you are, DoorDash is so awesome. 3,300 cities, every state, and Canada. And not only does DoorDash have all the big brand names, yes, you can get Subway sandwiches, you can get Wendy's, you can get McDonald's, you can get Chipotle, but they also have the restaurants local to your town. In fact, DoorDash is the only program I use because it has all the restaurants in Petaluma that I love. 310,000 amazing restaurants, plus all the big chains. So this evening, maybe you're tired, you worked hard, maybe you want to stay at home and Netflix and chill. There's no better way to do it than with DoorDash. Use the app. Your Dasher will come with your food in minutes. Chipotle, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, the Cheesecake Factory. Oh, man. Don't worry about dinner. Let dinner come to you with DoorDash. We're going to make it even better because if you put the DoorDash app on your phone right now and use the promo code TechGuy, they'll take $5 off your first order of $15 or more. So I can't say dinner's on me, but a little bit of it is. The rest of it will be on me. That's $5 off your first order when you download the DoorDash app from the App Store and use the promo code TechGuy. We love DoorDash. In fact, I love it so much, and I have to thank them. My mom, who's 86, used to be the best cook in the world. I love Mom's cooking. A few years ago, she said, Leo, I'm just, it's too hard for me to shop, to cook. I don't want to do it anymore. I put DoorDash on her phone. I gave her an iPhone. You might remember some time ago. She loves her 6S. I said, Mom, I put the DoorDash on her phone. I put my credit card in it. I said, anytime you want, if you're hungry, use this. Dinner's on me. And it's been so awesome. And it makes me feel good because I'll see the charge come through. Oh, and I'll see what Mom was eating. And actually, she uses it to get her grandkids, Will and Grady, who are, across town, to come over. She said, we're having pizza tonight, and they'll come over. It is the best thing ever. It worked so well for my mom. Lisa does it for her mom and dad, who are in town. But it makes it, it makes it easy for them. And there's no guilt. It's not like, would you buy me? No, they just do it, and it's a great feeling. So thank you, DoorDash, personally for me for doing that. Maybe you want to think about doing that for somebody in your family. And certainly set it up for yourself. DoorDash, put it on your phone. And don't forget the offer code TechGuy to get $5 off your first order. DoorDash, I love you. I love you, DoorDash. I love you. I love you, DoorDash. I can get the Cheesecake Factory. I can get Philly cheesesteak. They don't bring it from Philly, though. It's just over in the mall over there. Oh, the chat room loves a challenge. And they've come up with all sorts of tips and tricks for unlocking floppy drives. We'll put those in the show notes, including, now this kind of rings a bell. There was a program back in the day called Disk Lock. I bet you that's what it is, from a company called Simtel. No longer available. Company's out of business. But I think Disk Lock sounds right. It would when you put a floppy in, it would fire up with shareware. It would allow you to see the list of files. Now, maybe that's not what he's got, because you would be able to see the list of files, but you couldn't copy, execute, or open those files. I think I even used Disk Lock at the time. Simtel was a shareware archive, so you might be able to find it around somewhere, Disk Lock. But then you'd have to remember the password, wouldn't you? You don't need the program. You need a way to get around the program. There is I'm reading a thread, thanks to the chat room, on Tech Republic, which is still around, great ZDNet site. But this thread is from 18 years ago, from 2001. Would anyone know where I could download a program that would encrypt or lock a floppy disk? And even then, in 2001, the only answer that would even make sense that would lock the whole disk was Disk Lock, a shareware program. And they closed the question due to inactivity 17 years ago. Man, nothing dies on the internet, does it? It might die on your floppy, though. Pat, Austin, Texas. Hello, Pat. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. I'm calling you because I have a question.
Well, that seems like the reason everybody calls. Go ahead.
Well, that's on us. So this is my turn to ask.
It's your turn. Yes, sir.
After these many years.
Yay.
Between Roku, Fox News, or my AT&T provider? Who should I hate the most if I'm unable to log on?
What are you trying to do? And then I'll tell you who to hate.
Sure, I will. By the way, I'm watching you on my old Roku, so it's not dead.
Love
It isn't
Rokus.
old. It's
Love
a Roku
Rokus.
2 XS.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan, I hate to admit it, I'm a fan of Fox News. And between my computer and online with the television, you have to go through a series of things to log
I
in,
hate this.
share in.
I know what you mean, because most cable channels, including Fox News, they don't want you to stream it for free. They want to get you to pay a cable company for it. So they'll be available on your Roku or your Apple TV, but you have to sign into your cable company to unlock it. And there's usually a rigmarole. The worst one is where you have to, on Roku, enter the password with that silly Roku remote. Fortunately, most people now pop up a code, 4 or 5 letter number code, and then say, I don't know how Fox News does this on Roku, but I've seen this on HBO Go and others, and say, now go to hbogo.com/activate, enter in this code, and then it'll say, oh, okay, so tell me which cable company you have. And then if you're lucky, that cable company will show up. You can click the link, log into your cable company. It'll say, okay, you're permitted to watch this now on your Apple TV, and it all goes through. Where is this not working for you?
Well, I'm going through that entire drill over and over and over
So
again.
it's not
And
unlocking.
brand new. It's a new problem. It's a new problem because I've not had the problem over the last many years with this Roku.
So you've been watching up to now.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've been watching Fox News up to now, and it's worked.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is something I also notice that I find incredibly infuriating. I think because they don't want people pirating the signal. I'm not sure what, but now on some of them, every month you'll go through this rigmarole again. On HBO, I have to do it every month. Showtime every month. Drives me nuts. Because I'm sitting there, Lisa and I want to watch a show. We're ready. We got the popcorn. We got our feet up. And it goes, oh, now you have to log in. Oh, man, I got to go get a laptop. It's so annoying. You just want to watch TV. But you're saying that you go through that process and the screen that says authenticated doesn't go away.
What it does is it pops up after going through the drill. It pops up and it says, success.
Oh, even worse. And
Even worse,
and then there is no success. You tease. Yeah, the last time that happened to me was.
So it happens to the best.
It happens to everybody. It was incredibly frustrating. It happened to me on the last episode of Game of Thrones. I wanted to watch, because the little loophole, you can watch it when it broadcasts at 9 p.m. We're in California. But remember, it broadcasts earlier on the East Coast, and if you have HBO Go, you could watch it online right away at 6 p.m. So it's 6:01. I'm excited. The last episode of Game of Thrones, HBO Go says, nope, you got to log in. I was like, oh, don't. It says success, but it didn't work. It says success, but it didn't work. It says it over and over and over again. Now, in that case, it was because I think the HBO authentication server was jammed up with everybody else trying to watch Game of Thrones early, right? This is the most watched show in the history of cable TV. So that's a good excuse. I'm not sure what's going on. It could be that your old XS, that is pretty old, no longer lets you watch Fox News. Does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, you are singing the song that AT&T is singing to me.
Oh,
they're saying my Roku is partially dying.
Not fully.
Although I'm watching you just fine on it right now on my Roku.
It may be, though. Remember, this whole authentication process is because it's a standing problem in the world that companies think everybody's a criminal and is pirating stuff. And so they put up all these roadblocks. The complete irony of which is a pirate has no trouble at all getting through these roadblocks. Only you and me, honest, normal people, are stymied by these.
And innocent, I might add.
Innocent.
We're also innocent.
Innocent, too. you're in Austin. Let me just quickly check and see if there's another solution for you. No, if you were in Dallas or Houston, there's a company which is being sued and probably be sued out of existence, but there's a company called Locast that does broadcast local TV signals out of some of the big cities. The television networks are trying to put them out of business, but right now you could put a Locast app on your Roku or your Apple TV and watch local TV. Fox, though, is cable only, isn't it, Fox News? So,
well, yes.
It might be you need a new Roku. It might, and honestly, they're less than $100.
That's what it's pointing. That's what it's pointing. I never say die. I will spend hours to save $10.
Yeah, good for you. Why? You know, because it's all a big conspiracy to get us to give them their money. So I'm looking at the Roku support channels. Dr. Mom has given me a link. Anyone else having trouble with the Fox News channel? This is from April 7th of this year. Both channels are working fine. I was able to sign in, and now it says your provider does not support this content. So sometimes that'll happen. The cable company, in this case, you said AT&T is your cable company?
Right. That's correct.
Sometimes
I only use them for the internet. I do not use it for TV.
Who's your cable company?
There is no cable company. I have AT&T internet that comes in.
Oh, well, you won't be able to authenticate. How do you authenticate? How do you sign in with a provider? Maybe Fox News doesn't care, but many of these channels you have to pay for a subscription, a cable subscription, before you can watch them. Could that be it?
Well, part of the drill is they ask you who is your provider, and
what do you say?
AT&T Uverse.
But it isn't, because you're not paying for cable TV through them. That's your problem right there. That's your problem. Hey, the Gizwa's coming up next. Yeah, I think this is their way of preventing you from, because you're not paying for Fox News through Uverse. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, yes, yeah.
So it's a pay TV channel.
But they are partners. Even AT&T admits that they're in partnership with Fox News on this.
Well, if you pay for so the way I don't know how it works with Fox News. The way it works with many of these cable channels, you're verifying that you are a paying customer through the cable company before you can watch the streaming version. Mm-hmm. And that's what this authentication process is. Otherwise, there's no point. So, yes, you're an AT&T Uverse customer. What you aren't is a paying subscriber to Fox News.
That's correct. I'm not a paying subscriber, nor have I ever been. For the last many years, I have. Well,
you may have gotten through some sort of loophole, because I'm looking at what I'd like to do is
in my life.
Yeah, I have to. You know what? I'll have to go home and try it, because I don't know about Fox News specifically, but I do know about other cable-only channels. That's the whole point of this authentication, is not merely, I mean, why would they go through this rigmarole? The whole point of the rigmarole is to prove that you're paying for this channel through a cable provider, and you're not. Now, I don't know how you got before. You're right. It may be that AT&T Uverse says, well, as long as you're a data subscriber, we're going to authenticate you. Or maybe that was broken.
Yeah.
I think they just fixed the authentication service. I'm looking to see if Fox News is one of the providers that requires you be. ESPN is an example. Stars is an example. There are a lot of cable channels that will let you stream it, but only if you're paying for it through the cable company. If you're paying for the channel already. Mm-hmm. Let me. I just don't know what Fox's requirements are, because that's their revenue model, right? Fox. Even though Fox News has advertisements, they still want to make a little money through you subscribing.
And those advertisements have come through to me.
Oh, yeah, you'll still get them. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Let me see. It says ATT Uverse, yeah. But that's your provider, but not merely your internet provider. When you log into that, it will then say, and does he pay for Fox News? Sounds like it was just a loophole. I think you got through a loophole. Using a cord-cutting service to watch Fox News live on Roku. Okay. It's not available on every cord-cutting service on the market. So this is another choice you'd have. You could get it by paying for YouTube TV, Hulu with Live TV, PlayStation View, DirecTV Now.
Yes.
So, but again, you would be paying for it. Features and extras. Fubo is another one. I'm just trying to find out from Fox itself if you can subscribe. How to watch Fox News without cable. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Stream Fox News. Yeah, you have to pay for it. Hulu, Fubo, PlayStation View, YouTube, DirecTV. It looks like you have to have at least a skinny bundle to do this. So I suspect...
A skinny bundle?
Yeah, a cable bundle. So that would be the other thing is...
This is a bundle. This comes with the apartmentplex.
Well, that may be also another issue. Yeah. Does the apartmentplex give you any TV channels?
No. It's internet only, and it's mandatory.
Yeah. So Fox News, I'm looking now on their site. You do have to have a subscription. You do. So that's... I think you just were getting by. Sorry. It's disco time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, I forgot. I got my neck fan in the mail, Dickie D.
Oh,
I forgot to wear it today.
Oh, my gosh.
I bought 2. They were so cheap.
Oh, okay, good.
That way my wife and I can have matching neck fans.
Oh, great. Tropical breezes wherever you go.
Dick DeBartolo's here, Mad Magazine's maddest writer. He's also the Giz Wiz. He's a gizmo wizard, joins us every week to talk about gizmos. Before though, we get to your gizmo, I just want to wrap up the previous call because I'm now looking at the Fox News website that says if you want to watch Fox News on your Roku or any other streaming device, you must be a subscriber. You have to pay for Fox News, either through your cable company, your satellite company, or an over-the-top service like DirecTV Now, Fubo, Hulu, PlayStation View, or YouTube TV. In other words, there's no such thing as a free Fox lunch. Now, on we go with the show. Do you have a fabulous gizmo for us, Dickie?
Well, it sounds fabulous. Okay.
Oh, I love that.
It is the nostalgia retro pop-up hot dog and bun toaster.
Okay. I have to admit, I am often tempted by these because for me, the ultimate luxury would be to have a hot dog and toasted bun whenever I wanted it.
Well, you can. And maybe you would like it because you have a big kitchen. So this is a device that only does one thing, and it does it in a so-so manner.
I have learned this, by the way. When I buy all these kitchen gadgets, Lisa says, we only have so much counter space. And so what she'll do is, I confess to being somewhat annoyed by this, is rotate anything I haven't used in 6 months, gets rotated under the counter into a cabinet. And then rotate it out into the Goodwill bag.
I see. I just thought she said, all right, you have it here for 4 months, and in 6 more months, it'll be back up on the counter. No, it's gone.
No, it's gone.
I see.
No, it's a one-direction rotation.
Oh, okay.
But I would love this. Look at it. It's like a little toaster.
Yeah. It is a little toaster. So you put 2 franks in it, and then there is a semicircle slot for the hamburger buns, 2 of them.
No, now, hot dog buns. You don't use hamburger buns.
Did I say hot dog buns?
You said hamburger buns.
Oh, did I? No,
yes.
hot dog
buns.
Exactly.
Hot dog
right.
buns.
So because of the way the stainless...
I'm not a savage. I don't use hamburger buns with my hot dogs. What do you think of me?
Well, unless you can get bagels shaped like hot dog buns.
Ooh, now then I do it.
And I don't even know if you could drop a strip of bacon in it. I doubt it. It is only you can only do franks and buns.
It's not even big
Now-
enough for a brat. It's a frank.
It's big enough. It said for the
Extra plump,
the plump.
ballpark.
Yes, the plump. Right, and then strangely, it seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen. They send you a pair of steel tongs. They do say be sure to shut the toaster.
You could get electrocuted.
Yes, you could with ease.
But don't these pop right out so you don't need steel tongs?
You know what? I found, and I was reading some of the reviews, and a lot of people had this, that it doesn't pop up all the way a lot of the time.
Oh,
so you
crud.
do have to fish around.
No. I don't want to fish around for my hot
But
dog.
Leo, I paid $20. I looked today, it's $17.
Now, how much would you pay?
Yeah, exactly. And it was very funny. One person on Amazon said, I bought it, I don't use it, but I think it looks so great, I just leave it on the counter. I mean, it's bright red. It looks
idea.
pretty decent.
Yeah.
And if you're in love with it, there's a $30 version that can do 4 franks and 4
See,
sets
that's the
of.
problem. Honestly, whoever cooks just 2 hot dogs.
Yeah.
I mean,
then you're in for the $30 one, pal.
I do like the look, though. It looks like an old-fashioned toaster.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
What is it? You can have it for 4 months before it leaves the trash.
I got a logistical question.
Yeah.
What does a toasted hot dogs taste like?
You know what? It's not bad. I actually thought, this is going to really taste awful. The problem is it doesn't do a good job on the buns. It sort of scorches the edges of the buns. It's not ideal.
Here's the other question, logistically speaking. There's 8 hot dogs in a package, and there's 10 hot dogs in a package, and there's 8 buns in a package. What do you do with the extra 2 hot dogs?
People who eat a lot, you just stick 2 hot dogs in
give
there.
them 2 in 1 bun.
2 in 1 bun.
Brilliant.
Don't say anything.
I think that's the plan.
Or if you have a dog, it works out perfectly because Charlie doesn't like the.
He doesn't want the bun.
The bun. He doesn't want the bun.
I'm keto. I can't eat the bun either. I remember when I was a kid, we used to go up to Cooperstown, New York. My dad was a baseball fan. And we go to the Cooperstown Diner, and they would split the dog down the middle, and they'd fry it in butter. It was the best hot dog I ever had. Toast the bun on the grill. This is not like that.
No. We had a place, maybe when you lived in New York, we had a place called Needix.
Needix, of course.
And they would toast the buns.
Yeah, you can't get a good toasted bun anymore.
No, you can't. And this thing will not give you a good toasted bun. But yeah, if you have a kid who likes franks and buns, just leave him a package of that and a bag of rolls. You can go on a vacation for.
Yeah, and if you have a kid you don't like, give him the steel tongs, and your troubles are over.
Yeah,
I see it did not. I'm looking at your video. It didn't really emerge fully, and the bun is burnt, and that's terrible.
Yeah, it's not the best. If it didn't look good and only cost $17, I would stay away from it. But I would rate this at 60%.
Honestly,
approval rate.
After what I've read about hot dogs, you probably should stay away from hot dogs too while you're at
it.
Yeah,
that part true. That's true.
If you want to know more about the fabulous nostalgia hot dog toaster.
Retro
toaster. You could find out all about it at gizwiz.biz. That's Dick's website, GIZWIZ.biz. While you're there, play the What the Heck Is It contest, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine, and pick up a copy of Dick's book. He's got boxes left. Good Days and Mad. I love it. If you're a Mad Magazine fan, and these days we're all thinking back to the good old days of Mad Magazine and kind of with a little tear in our eye.
Oh, yes.
Because AT&T, the devil Death Star Network, seems to want to kill it. Never been a fan. But I grew up reading Mad Magazine, so anything we can do to save it, Dick, you just let us know. And otherwise, read Good Days and Mad about the classic days of Mad Magazine. And Dick was there for every bit of it. It's really cool.
Oh, it's 60 years of it.
Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay, buddy. See you next week.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Folks, we've come to the end of this little enterprise in broadcast engineering. Sorry that we've run out of time, but I'll tell you what, we'll come back and do it all again if you will, too. Don't forget the website is always there for your delectation. If you heard something, you want to know more, or and I never mentioned this, you want to add something. If you are listening to the show and you're yelling at the radio, stop. You don't have to. Anytime, Monday through Friday, actually Saturday and Sunday too, 7 days a week, you just go to techguylabs.com. And you can leave a comment. There's no charge. There's no sign up. We do ask you log in with your Google, Twitter, Facebook account when you leave a comment only. And that's just to keep spammers at bay. That's all. TechGuyLabs.com. Make a note of that. That way you don't have to make a note of anything else. Thanks so much to our musical director, Big Pee-wee. He's taken the day off because he's going to MC, what is it, the Inglewood food, Taste of Englewood? Taste of Inglewood food. Go see that. Go see Big Pee-wee. Say hi to him tomorrow. Thanks to Kim Schaffer, who's stuck with me tomorrow. Thanks most importantly to you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.